Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the download. You're here with me, your host, Sara Connell, and I have an amazing guest with me today, the brilliant and extraordinary. Oh, I already love people are jumping on. I love this.
Love
We
that.
have Melanie Benson with me today, and we are going to have a phenomenal conversation about collaboration, about differentiation, about booking dream podcasts, or really, Melanie, I think this strategy applies to booking dream stages, booking, book tour events. I think what we're going to get into today. But would you let everyone know who isn't familiar with your work already? We were introduced recently through a beloved friend. Thank you, Amy Yamada, sending you some love. But just let people know a little bit about who you are, what you do, and then we're going to dive in because we have a lot to cover.
Yeah, well, I'm Melanie Benson. I'm known as an authority amplifier. It's really the best way to capture what I do. And my gift in the world is that I help experts who feel a bit like a best kept secret,
Mhm.
how to stand out and be unignorable. I really believe that being recognized for your great work in the world is kind of the key to getting a lot of the strategies to work so that you're getting booked on stages, you can get in front of other people's audiences so that your work sells itself
Yes.
and collaborations start to emerge that really power up and, as I call it, become growth fuel for your business. A couple
Mm,
other little things. I host a podcast called Amplify Your Success. We
yes.
just hit 500 episodes, Sarah.
Okay, you guys, everyone take a minute because this is thought leader land here. This is
Yeah.
where we roll. I mean, 500 episodes. Melanie, there aren't a lot of, I don't know what the stats are, maybe you know them, but how many
Mhm.
people stick with it to 500 episodes? I don't think it's that many.
Yeah, it depends. Like the ones that are really big names, celebrity
Sure.
infused, true crime, stuff like that. Let's take those out of the mix.
Yeah.
Right now, there are somewhere around 4.6 million podcasts listed, and 340,000 of them are active. Take
Mm.
40% of those off the top for the true crime, the celebrity infused, and now you know what is. I mean, I think there's something like getting past 12 is revolutionary in the podcast world.
Amazing.
So,
Isn't that interesting? Well, congratulations. 500
thank
is a
you.
huge milestone, and I'm delighted to get to celebrate you today in that. And I love already people are like unignorable. I love that, right? So, how many of us we know being unignorable is everything, right? Because there's so much stuff. There's now with AI, it's just absolutely inundated, right? And
Mhm.
so, Melanie, I'm so glad you're here to guide us in this process of becoming unignorable. What are specifically, we're going to get into what you're seeing working in 2026
Mhm.
because I like to make things real. It's like there's the things that have tried and true that are always going to be things we do, and then there's nuances each period that the world is in, and the market is in, and the culture is in, and everything. And so I'm excited to hear from your wisdom and what you're seeing, sort of in the field, in the trenches, as it sometimes someday. Oh, we have one of someone's like, I was listening to your podcast during my walk today, Melanie. One of our
Oh my
guests.
god, I
Oh,
love that, Kat Kim. Thank you for making my whole week, maybe even my month. I love hearing that so
isn't that
much.
beautiful? It's beautiful. It's like the equivalent for in book world. We talk about like walking onto an airplane and seeing someone reading your book or doing. That's
Yep.
it's just like, oh my gosh, it's out there. It's doing things. So, Melanie, let's talk about. All right, there's. We're going to talk about the strategy to becoming unignorable and to getting in front of other people's audiences and what you're seeing working well with your clients. But do you want to start us with um, ignorable and unignorable? Like, do we just want to kind of be with
Mm.
that for a minute? Because there's a lot of, like you said, a lot of people come to you because they feel they know they're brilliant, they know they're good, but no one knows about them.
Mhm. Well, I think, it's interesting, like, I talked to experts who've been in the field, as you called it, for 10, 15, 20 years,
Right.
and they still feel like a best kept secret. They feel like they're being overlooked, and they have to work really, really hard to get the recognition by their peers, by collaboration partners, by clients, and there are a few little secret sauce things, if you will, and I think one of them is, and this, I just know if you are someone who is multi-passionate, I just know already you're gonna go, "Melanie, that's never gonna work for me." You really have to allow yourself to get known for something specific.
Mhm.
It doesn't mean it's the only thing you have to do. Like, Sarah, you have different channels of your work, right? Like, many of our colleagues are doing different things, but you had to allow yourself to be recognized for the thing
Yes.
that people crave.
Yes.
that people are going to lean into, that is going to kind of help boost that momentum. And I like to think of it as like you're stoking a little bit of a fire. And when you are doing so many things that people don't go, they're like, I don't get it. I love you. I think you're amazing. Like there's something there, but I don't know how to refer you. I don't know how to book you to speak on my stage. I don't know that my audience is going to get why you quickly enough. And I think that's one of the biggest things, going from ignorable, or maybe just we'll even say overlooked, to
Yeah.
being unignorable and chosen, is you have built momentum around your specific thing you do.
Yeah, this is huge. So every one of you that trains with me, those of you that are here, we talk about the flag in the ground, right? We need to have the flag in the ground that someone can instantly process. So remembering that it can evolve over time. Like Melanie's saying, it's not that we don't offer more things, but what is the thing? We call it being the go-to person in your industry, like
Mhm.
in this, and it's the same idea, unignorable, the go-to person. But for people to have to go to you, they need to know what they're going to you for, right? So we want to think of that thing at the front door, the flag in the ground, that is actually going to, let someone know, like, I'm your person for this. So Melanie, we know we come to you if we want to, like, book dream podcasts and be known for something, right? People come to us in our
Mhm.
world, they want to be a best-selling author and a speaker and scale with thought leadership, right? It's yes, there's all kinds of other cool stuff that we all do, and that's wonderful, and people can find that when they come through the door, but we got to do the door, right? And so and it is, Kat, it's so hard. It's hard for all of us visionaries, because we're polymaths and we are inspired by so many things, and but think of it as just a magnet for people, to find us. So if we were going to talk about what's a mistake people make, it's being so many things and having such a diluted idea that no one really knows who they would refer to you or how they would feature you or have you into their audience. Okay.
Yeah, I love your analogy of the door. If we could just kind of lean into that for a second and unpack that.
Mhm.
Think of the door, it's like the sign over the door is, this is what I'm known for. And it can be the umbrella,
Mm.
but when you go through the door, there's different rooms in the house or in your castle, right? And so you get to guide people and take them on a tour through the different parts of the house based on what their needs are right now. Like
Yeah,
I have clients that have worked with me for 20 years on
right.
and off, and what they needed then isn't what they needed now. And so if I just relied on, okay, you need to be known as an authority, there'd be like, pass, I already got that, Melanie, when we're working with you the first time. So now we might work on scaling, or now we might work on revenue growth, or like taking them from expert to industry leader. So it's okay to have different
Yeah.
things you do once you get that door clear, so they know what to walk through. And you started this conversation with this idea of collaborations. And just if we define that for a minute, it's
Yeah.
when somebody says, hey, I really think what you do serves my audience, and what I do could serve your audience. We have complementary skills, we have complementary offerings, but share an audience. If they don't know what that specific thing is, and you're doing so many things, you're going to have overlap. You're going to not really be able to land the plane on the runway and take advantage of those beautiful relationships and connections that can emerge.
So we're going to get into collaboration, because you and I talked a little bit. We had the opportunity to have a little love fest already when we got introduced. And if there was one thing that was going to grow someone's, ability to book dream podcast, grow their Substack, grow their being known and unignorable, what you shared with me that we're going to get into much more deeply right now is that it is collaborations. And I
Mhm.
know some of you in the chat, that's how I've always loved to build all the things, but let's really go there. And people can say collabs, like it's a little thing, but let's talk about what specific kind of collaborations are
Mhm.
you coaching people in? What are you seeing work the best? And maybe even an example.
Well, I teach a lot of this, right, in my programs, because there's so many different ways we could collaborate. And I think there's low lift, and then there's maybe more intricate and involved. So let's start with low lift for today's conversation,
Yeah.
because everybody can do this. And that might be as simple as you do a Substack live with your new friend and colleague, like Sarah and I are doing today. And I've done them with several people here in the Substack community, and it's just been off the charts amazing. And it could look like a podcast interview swap.
Mhm.
It could look like something simple, like I have this book or I have this free resource that I think could be really valuable for this kind of audience. And you swap email promotions to each other's list.
Yes.
Think, what is something simple I can do that doesn't require a lot of tech, doesn't require a lot of tracking? It just is easy to organize, but it has major impact on 3 levels. 1, you're getting known in front of a new audience.
Absolutely.
2, you're activating a partnership that could actually build momentum for years. Like this, people get confused about the podcast guest interview, Sarah, and
Mm.
having hosted this podcast for almost 10 years and been in this industry for a really long time, here's what I know. People see, oh, an audience I can get in front of, not a collaborative relationship that I
Mhm.
can spark and nurture for decades. My greatest I love that, the heart starting to go off. The greatest value to your business isn't that initial podcast
Correct.
conversation.
Correct.
It's what happens beyond that when you've built value and trust and connection with the host. They know you're gonna take really good care of their audience. You're gonna deliver massive value. You're gonna co-create and promote together. And what else can we do? Because the third level is referability. I'm never going to refer an expert who jumps on my podcast and goes, "Okay, thanks," and I never hear from
Right.
them again. They don't share the podcast. They don't
Right.
do anything to promote the conversation, and they don't really understand the value of what's just been given to them.
Oh my god, let's pause here for a minute because there was a time when I was, teaching a lot of writing specific, not even just thought leadership, but like book writing at Northwestern University and other places where I would, guest present things. And one of the terms that a colleague of mine that he and I taught a number of workshops at Northwestern to the graduate students over the years, and we talked about being a good literary citizen. So what that meant is if you're someone you're writing a book and you have a book coming out, that you don't like wait till your book's out and then go talk to everyone and be like, hey, can you share about my book and promote my book? You are going to other people's launches. You are buying their book. You are promoting their books. You are book buying their books. You are shouting their books when it's authentic, when you love their book. And I love people and I love many, many books. And this is very authentic, but people like this is the collaborative idea. And now we're talking about being a good thought leader citizen or a good podcast citizen or a good, thought leader, person, because look, it's to your point, Mel, you've given someone a chance to be on your show, which has been 500 episodes in. You've been doing this for over a decade, in the industry much longer than that. And it's the relationship, not just the, oh, good, I can check off a box like I did another podcast, but
Mhm.
it's what could Melanie and I possibly do together, if we feel that alignment. And that's all the magic. They always say, in sales, 90% comes in the follow up. And it's like with collaboration, 90%, at least I think too, applies here. It's like in what happens when you build, who knows who needs something down the road, like suddenly, oh, and then, you're launching something and someone's helping you. And it's also more fun. Can we just talk about how it's way more fun to collaborate?
I love collaboration. I Some of my best friends in business started as a podcast interview and then it just
Amazing.
morphed, right? But it
Yeah.
was because they also joined in this concept that it's not that one conversation, it's the affinity and the desire to continue to support that person because there's so much value that's being co-created there.
Mm,
You called it being a nurturing good thought leadership. I can't remember the exact term. I like to think of it as collaboration currency.
nice.
If we're
Yeah.
always developing our relationship capital and we're nurturing those relationships and we're investing in them before we need something, guess what? They're 10 times more likely
Yeah.
to go above and beyond and support you than they will if you're just coming out of nowhere and going, "Hey, can I be on your podcast?" Because there are people in my network where I only hear from them when they want me to promote something. And
Uh,
that doesn't land the same as somebody who, "Hey, we have a long-term relationship here. I will go above and beyond to promote your event when I speak on your stage, to share your book." It's
yes.
different.
It's beautiful. I love this so much. And collaboration currency. I want everyone to write that down and be thinking about this. And look, generosity feels good. It's good for our soul. It's good for our hearts. I love Lisa. Lisa's on live with us right now, and she says, "I've promoted other authors as if I wrote those books myself." And that's how I feel. I get excited
Mhm.
when someone's got a launch, a podcast, a book, whatever. I genuinely only spend time with people I feel value aligned with anyway. So it's very easy for me to be excited and promote what they're doing because I'm there because I already love who they are and what they stand for and what they're bringing to the world. So some people say, "Oh, well, I don't want to promote." It's like, well, then who are you hanging out with? Who are you following? It's like we teach a concept called passioning. So it's like get a passion in your life. It's like, what am I already passionate? Who are the people, the things, the products? And it's very easy to enthuse and support someone because you want them to win just in and of itself. You're not even thinking about the return favor. You're just genuinely excited to support. Like I think some of you were just talking about, yeah, getting Michael Port's book for all your clients because it's such a phenomenal read. And like, yes, you knew you were helping him, but you were helping your people by getting them that book. It's great.
Yeah.
So great.
Win-win-win collaboration. That's
Mhm.
my conviction. We have a common colleague friend
Yeah.
who talks about convictions, and that's my conviction is like collaboration is expansive when it's win-win-win. It's a win for
Correct.
me, it's a win for you, the host, and it's a win for our community. And it's not just about numbers, sales, you know, winning collaboration contests or JV launches. It's really about like how do we add more value into the humanity by
Yeah.
co-creating what's possible at another level.
Melanie, let's talk about differentiation because that's another thing
Mhm.
you help. Now, first of all, it's knowing, not being known for a million things because then you're not known for anything, right? But
Right.
really having the thing that we call it, the movement behind your book or like you're known for the thing. What about, what do we need to know right now about differentiating ourselves?
Well, I've been exploring this concept of what I am coining the leadership voice. And
Mhm.
here's what I'm seeing in our industry. We're going through a radical change in the visibility playbook from what worked for decades and certainly for several years really well after the pandemic. But the playbook's changing, as we know. And what I know is if your content sounds like everybody else, you're invisible. But not only that, our best clients, our audience, our communities, we don't need more content. Content is saturated. Information is saturated. People want community connection and transformation.
Mhm.
And one of the ways we can do that is by accessing and cultivating a very clear leadership voice. What is what you are here to do, and
Mm,
only you are here to do in a way that serves a very specific kind of client with a very specific kind of transformation.
yeah.
And when we access that, and by the way, everybody has it. It may be in your blind spot. It may need to get unlocked and shaped and given a little bit of massaging so that it lights your spark on fire and it feels like that magnetic quality. But when you land in it and you activate it and you start amplifying the reach of it through podcasts, through live conversations, through these strategic partnerships, through your content, if you will,
Yeah.
that's what moves you from, feeling like things are moving slowly to being a momentum, and if you are in this with me, leading a movement that builds a legacy and lasting impact.
Yeah, that's so good. It's so true. And so let's all make that note too. People are craving community. They're craving, what was the second one? Because I know the third one, the
Connection,
connection. Yeah, so it's community where we get
human
the
connection.
connection, the human. You all who heard my interview earlier know I ranted about that enough. The HI that we need to develop with our AI, human connection, and then absolutely third one, transformation. Right?
Mhm.
People, we want to be changed. We want to be moved. We want to get to our next level. We want, whatever that is, heal, transform, whatever. Melanie, let's just because you have this deep history in the industry of being in podcasting and visibility around that. What is the like craziest, wackiest thing that's happened to you as a podcast guest? I just want to like get real
Oh, as
flesh.
a podcast guest?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Well, actually, as a host, like, what's the
So
craziest thing
many.
someone's done on your show?
Yeah. Well, and just for context, I started in this industry in 2000,
Right.
right? And so for the first decade, it was about stages. Got crazy stories about that too. But when I started to see podcasts emerging, first with YouTube and
Mhm.
maybe teleseminars, back
Yes.
in the day, we didn't have
Oh, yeah.
video, we had audio only. And now, as a podcast guest, there's been a couple real doozies. One was when I got pitched to be on someone's show, and as it turned out, they had a host that was asking me questions, and then they turned it into an AI-driven podcast, but they didn't disclose. And I was like, okay, you have to disclose if this is an
Yeah.
AI podcast, like, you can't do that. Um, I've had people, invite me into a podcast and then, try to turn it into a sales tool. I'm
Oh,
pretty savvy at that, and
oh,
I don't like
God.
those, and I won't recommend people to those shows.
Right.
I think if there's a natural evolution of some possibility that emerges, great, but I don't like them as sales tools. But where I really have blown away is when somebody as a host, and maybe this is something that happens with newer hosts and that confidence isn't quite there, and I know it can be intimidating when you're interviewing somebody who has a lot of experience, but they would literally read every question
Yeah.
exactly as I maybe suggested a few guideline questions, and they would transition with amazing and then drop right into the next question. And I thought, yeah, this isn't going to fly as a really quality experience for my host. So I've actually had crazier things on the other side with people coming as a guest to my show. And I think there's something that happens. I'm very, very grateful for the listeners and for the community we've built around it. I call our community the Amplifiers community for that podcast. And I have had people who recognize, "Oh, Melanie's in the top 1%. I'd like to be on her podcast.
Mhm.
I'd like to leverage that audience." They would beg me to be on my show for over a year. And every time I would see them or they'd land in my DMs over and over and over again, "I'd really love to be on your show. I absolutely would share it." We do the show finally. I acquiesce, and it's either A, one of the worst conversations that has ever been recorded, or B, they never share it once. I'm like, "Phew." I mean, and let me just say one thing. When you are being given that kind of visibility and you are actively getting your message in front of someone else's audience, it is not just about what that person can do for you, because the real depth and value that can be cultivated and activated is when you share it to your audience. There are people who have been following you dormantly. They're kind of lingering in the scenes, and they're kind of just watching and lurking about. And that one conversation may be the conversation that they say, "I'm in.
Right.
That's what I needed to hear." And you're borrowing the authority, the influence, and the beautiful, like, activation that so many of us need with our host. Like, Sarah's, asking these exquisite conversations and getting me fired up and, like, I'm tapping into my passion, and that's what somebody else may need to feel to move from being interested to invested in working with you. I call it building a golden thread. So, Sarah, that's
Mhm.
one of the things that I know is it's not just about the courtesy, which is important. It's about what you can gain and what maybe someone else needs when they
Right.
get to hear it.
And I love that you're presenting that because sometimes people are again in that very I'm just gonna say a taking energy, right?
Yeah.
And but there you could see like some of you are sharing in the live chat how it hurts it's only a hurt to them. It's like Melanie, you already have a big audience and you already have a successful podcast, but for someone like that might be a sales, like you said, someone crosses the line because they hear someone interviewed instead of just putting out your own solo content. And there's so much to that.
Mhm.
So I love that you're helping us. I almost feel like if you haven't already, it'd be fun to do just an etiquette handbook, just like a little,
I got
etiquette
one.
book of you've got one.
Yeah.
We have one for like around book things and whatever, but I think this is such a good one around, this is what quality podcast hosting, or when you podcast
Mhm.
guesting, can look like. What So I did kind of just because I enjoy crazy stories of whatever. The AI one is shocking to me. I haven't had that. I've had all those other things, but I have not had something where it bait and switches to like an AI generated. We've been making jokes in this community about getting an actual like digital seal that you put on your content that says like 100% human or like
Ooh, I
created by
love
a
that.
human. And because that is becoming, we talked about this, those of you who were with me earlier, we talked about that as that is a currency as well. There's collaboration currency, and now there's human currency, like, hey, I'm real, I'm actually here, like Melanie and I are here, we are not, this isn't recorded previously, this isn't AI bots of Melanie and I, like we're here, we're in the room with all of you, which we're so thrilled to be. And magic gets to happen because there's aliveness, there's resonance, that, and we don't know where it's going to go, right? And oh my,
Yeah,
I
we
was,
don't have a grand plan or anything.
no, but I was on one in and a gentleman asked to, and he was, giving me the whole, I work with Alex Hermosi and I have this huge audience and would you come on and talk about books? And sure. And it was an hour long, and I knew from the first question it was going to be torture because it was the same. He didn't even, when asking the question, didn't even look at me, just read from a piece of paper, and then as I answered, he was like writing things. I don't know if he was texting. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but it was, and I thought, oh, we can't go a full hour on this, right? But we did. He had all those, but it was almost like he was multitasking while being
Yeah.
the host. So it's a crazy thing, but this is what's great. This is the moment where people who are the real deal and people who aren't, like, it becomes very, very obvious. And I'm sure you're very discerning now of who you want to collaborate with. And for that
Yeah.
reason,
Yeah, it's actually, it's funny. I run a community called Rising Tide Collective, and one of the biggest questions is how do I discern the right people to collaborate with from the people that maybe present well, but it's a disaster on the back end? And, we don't always have the runway and the capacity to make those learning mistakes in real time and collect evidence and go, okay, more of this, less of this. So I actually have created some checklists and some just being aware, like what refinements I've made personally. And I think when you're beginning, Sarah, you want to say yes, maybe to more opportunities
sure,
and start to build your chops and get that confidence going. And it's not about getting on all the top shows, it's about getting traction.
get our
And then
reps,
as you
get our reps.
yeah, you get stronger and you get more discerning, and then as you're more successful and or you have less time and you need to be more clear, like we say yes to very little opportunities to speak on virtual stages and in-person stages now, because they're not really designed for the collaborative energy that makes my work shine the best. And
Mm,
so, but that took time to really discover and say, okay, more of this, less of this. So you got to know who your audience is. You need to know what the energy of those collaborations are, like what's the structure, but also, like you said, like this, the values and the maybe the host energy. Can you really have a powerful conversation that showcases well?
It's like the chemistry factor, right? Like you're talking
Yeah.
about here, which I really, it's values, it's chemistry, is it the right
Mm,
audience for me? Is it the right, and I like you're talking about medium. This doesn't get, when I talk to people, like you said, you come alive in this medium, the podcast, the interview type of flow and form, where someone else maybe is that keynote person and they just love to like drop in, get on a stage, blow the roof off, fire people up, and then like scooch, you know what I mean? Like it's just, they're different ways, and you've learned over the years what works for you. What
totally.
would you say, what's coming up for me right now is, as you talk about having hosted 500 episodes and obviously guested on lots of other people's shows in that time, so you're in the thousands, of
Mhm.
interviews and whatever. um I want to say, what is the things, I'm going to ask it like this: what is the question you've never been asked?
Ooh. I've been asked a lot of really crazy questions, so that's a hard one. Maybe, well, here's an interesting one. Nobody's ever asked me, how did the podcast make me better in business?"
Oh, well, can
I
we
but
ask, can we
I
do
but
that?
I
Let's
actually
do that.
discovered that when I was writing, to celebrate my 500th episode, and I shared that in this week's article on Growth Fuel here on Substack. But this is what I discovered. the conversations I had on both sides of the microphone help me discover the lens or look through the lens of
Mm,
what's working, what's building resonance in me, and what's falling flat. And it actually informed one of my key programs because I started to recognize there's a lot of people that hear I should be in front of other people's stages and they've got no system. They've got no way to structure those conversations and they're fire hosing the guests and the host or
mm,
they're winging it. And I started to see how so many people who had been on stages all over the world
right?
had a hard time really like knowing how I call it building a golden thread. What's the topic? How do we title this topic in a way that gets the host's attention and, showcases what you're known for? How do we build a conversation that doesn't feel like I'm getting fire hose with so much information and random stories that don't really land? And then how do we create this intrigue and desire for what's coming next?
Big
Right?
time.
Because that if we can't do that, yes, we can have a nice conversation, but we may be squandering valuable visibility.
Ooh, and it's right, and it's, I think there's so much here of that piece that I just wanna capture here for everyone is, are we leading people to want what's next?
Mhm.
Are we and so when I in writing, right, it's sort of instead of, closing the circle, some people do like a give a talk and it's like, I start with this story and then I teach the thing and, it's wonderful. There's nothing wrong with it. But I love the idea of, put a tail on the end where you take someone then to a surprise vision of what's next, what's the future, what else is possible, what's another application that we didn't think of. It's delightful to readers or audiences, listening or
Mhm.
watching or reading. But again, that's in the mastery category of the art, right? The art of speaking and the art of interviews and things. And so is there any tip on that you have? Like, is there a favorite way you like to do that?
Yeah, well, let me give it through an example. I have a client I worked with last year around this, and she's very well known. She co-founded a multi-million dollar business. She'd been on some of the biggest name podcasts.
Mm,
And when they looked at their numbers, they're like, why are we only getting a couple of leads from these podcasts? This is crazy. And so we worked through my process, in my Authority Accelerator process. And what she discovered was she didn't have any real like arc that she was building. So there's three things in this arc that I called the golden thread that people can work with. One is uh, what is a story about you and your work that is so relatable and heart-based and it like helps bond the audience with you.
mhm.
So I think we all need some and some for some people it's the origin story, some people it's the
Sure.
rags to riches story, for some people it's a it's more just like being in your head with you about like where you're at and what's landing, what's not. Like, there's all different versions of that. The second thing is in some way, shape, or form, teach a framework. And I'm just curious, as you guys are listening and joining us right now, have you noticed what the framework is that I've shared?
Does
Bonus
anyone wanna
points.
take a
Yeah,
bonus
if you want
points
to
if
drop it
you
in the
can
chat
spot
if you
the
noticed what it was.
framework? Uh-huh.
Yeah. And again, it doesn't have to be salesy. It can be very subtle, but the idea is when you share the framework, you've created something that people can grab onto and go,
Sure.
"Oh, that's what it is. That's
Mhm.
that's what I need right now is like I need to have that in my business or my life or in my dating relationship, whatever your thing is." And then third is some kind of a case study can be really valuable.
Mhm.
And again, you don't have to do it like, oh, here's all the things I did with my client, but something that's feeling really relatable, and your ideal client can see herself or himself in that journey. And that's one of the ways to go from nice conversations to conversations that move people from being interested to being invested in what's next. And you always want to make sure that on some way level, you've kind of given a preview to what your programs are or what that next step might look like so that they're not going, wait, what was that thing that, Melanie or Sarah or whoever just dropped on us at the end? Like that makes no sense. And that was the other thing this client was doing. she was giving this gift away that had zero to do with anything she talked
Right.
about during
Right.
the conversation. And I'm like, we need to start with the end in mind. Write that down.
Mm.
Start with the end in mind. We are so passionate. We have so much to give. There's so many stories you could probably tell. I know you want to get so much across, but if you want to be recognized and known and chosen, the more you can kind of really harness all that energy and channel into like taking people on a journey from their world across the bridge to your world, that's where things really kind of get magnetized.
Well, Melanie, this is so perfect because any of you who have you been on since the beginning, you might be able to spot like in hiding in plain sight how Melanie's actually modeling this, for us right here. Because Melanie, you do have a gift to give everyone,
Mhm.
and it's not going to be out of context. You want to tell everyone what I'm going to put it in the chat, but
Sure.
what are we what's our homework?
Well, here's your homework. I want you to review these 7 factors that are in the gift that I have for you. It's called How to Shift from Being a Best Kept Secret to Being the Unignorable Expert. And I cover 7 factors, if you will,
Mm,
that I personally used for 26 years.
mm,
And yes, they've been updated as we go through and deepen each stage of our evolution, each stage of my evolution.
mm.
But you need to recognize what's working for you, what's strong, but maybe where's weak areas, where's areas that your audience doesn't get it. And
Mm.
I take you through the 7 factors, but you also have like a handy little quiz that you can self-rate
We love
yourself.
a quiz. Who loves a
Yeah.
quiz? I know
Yep.
Lisa's like, I love homework.
Super
Give me
simple.
homework. Yes, yes.
Yeah. So I want you to pick the one thing you're gonna commit to doing. And I'm gonna give you like a bonus action
Let's go
homework.
because these are our super achievers in here.
Yeah,
So give us the advanced
bonus.
version. Yes.
Hit reply once you've read it and tell me what's the one thing you're committed to focusing on and making better. Because look, it's not about what Sarah and I tell you. It's about where you close those authority gaps so that your visibility is helping you attract ideal clients, collaboration partners, speaking opportunities, and ways in which you grow the reach of your work in the world,
Yeah. So
even if
much
it's just
fun.
one person at a time.
And like again, micro, this is back to our differentiation and being 100% human and all the things. It's like these even if it is one person at a time over a lifetime of every single day, we can hear someone's audience number. Oh, Melanie has 500 podcasts and millions of downloads and all the things. But if we do that one at a time and little groups at a time, right? It adds up, it compounds, kind of atomic habit style, right? So I
Yes.
love this, and I'm really grateful because I love a quiz. I love a homework. And so, yes, everybody, I'll keep putting it in the chat if you just jumped on. So Melanie's got her gift. We'll have this when we turn this into our official podcast. You'll all get it as well there. But I want everyone to do this. Like if you're watching the replay or here with us live, well, this is our homework. Okay, I'm going to do it with you because I haven't done this of Melanie's. We've been becoming friends, but I haven't done this assignment yet. So we're all going to do it, and then we can message Melanie and say, okay, here's the one that I'm identifying as we call it like the golden domino or like that, the thing that's going to, sort of unlock. You talked about in the
Yeah.
beginning, and see, this is a loop around at the tail, right? You talked about the one thing that we need to be known for. And this is going to help us with the one thing that's going to move our leveraging other audiences, becoming unforgettable or unignorable, all those things. Like this is going to help us do that because Melanie, you're an expert in this. You've done this for a really long time and you're a master teacher of this. So we're
Thank
so
you.
lucky to get to try this out from Melanie's framework and Melanie's process and see it. And we did not talk. We just, we're going to get on together because we're having this great conversation. We want to share it with all of you. Since we're both working in this realm of helping people be visible and be the go-to person and be unignorable. And it's so neat that we went, the one thing that you're known for, and then the one thing you're going to do new or better or more so that you can collaborate to get on the dream podcast, to be the go-to person. Like that's what you all are the good people, right? So, I mean, I
Yes.
don't do the good and bad, but like you're doing good in the world. The world wants transformation, and those of you that are here are actually bringing it. So let's just make sure more people know about you. That's what Melanie and I are obsessed with.
Absolutely, and I really think the more we can be a force for good in the world, and we raise the vibration, we raise the frequency of what's being shared in the world, because again, I know we're probably wrapping up here, but I just wanna leave with this thought, and by the way, for those of you that are listening and haven't been watching the chat, it's melaniebenson.com/framework.
Yes.
But, one of the things that I really believe is that we actually can, shift the tides collectively when we get good at marketing and being visible and selling our work in the world, because what's happening is the people who are really good at that maybe aren't the ones that are having that beautiful impact driven, like heart-based work in the world. So let's raise the frequency of what's being experienced on the planet by getting committed to being seen in a bigger way.
That's it, everyone. This is the force, right? There's the, you all know that are with me, you're gonna be sick of me saying it, but I hold this in my heart every day. It just takes a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens to change the world. Margaret Mead said this, and that's the only thing that ever has. And so
Woo.
we get to be, it's just everything, right? It's like it's so important. So Melanie, huge thank you for being here. We're gonna all go take the quiz. We're gonna do the homework. We're gonna message Melanie and say, here's the one thing that I'm going to really up level in my, in my thought leadership, in my visibility. And then Melanie, I know we'll let everyone know when you're going to run your next accelerator, because you do these awesome visibility accelerators at certain points in the year. So we will let all of you know when that's coming up. Because is it fall, the next one, I believe?
Yeah.
Yes.
And we're
Perfect.
going to do a collaboration currency challenge right around the corner
Oh,
as well. So
fun. Okay, so we have all
yeah,
kinds of good things. So follow Melanie. Remember, it's melaniebenson.com backslash framework or forward slash framework.
forward slash.
So that in case you didn't, but it's in the chat, and we'll put it in the we'll put it in the notes. And thank you, Lisa. Never be sick of you. Oh, I love it. So we're gonna have a blast. Any of you who don't already have your ticket to our New York City event, Women Starting Movements, we're gonna be celebrating the launch of the download. Make sure that you get that. Get those tickets so you can be in the abundance accelerator. So think about it. You can accelerate your abundance and your visibility with Melanie and I this summer and into the fall. This is super exciting. Melanie, can't wait to continue the dialogue. I'm sure we'll have to have you back as new trends emerge, because you've got your true ear to the ground, and you see in the trenches, both coaching people, doing your own podcast, guesting on others. You're going to tell us what's up and what we need to know about. And we're just absolutely thrilled. Last thing before we go, what are you most excited about, like between now and the end of the year? Is there anything, just a personal experience, a trip you're going on, just
Mm,
what's lighting you up?
I love that. Well, actually, Substack.
Yeah,
I'm
let's hear about
all
what.
in on Substack. When I started talking about it on my other platforms, people were like, "Wait, what? Can you help me build it? Tell me what to do? How's it working?" I feel like home when I'm here. I
Right.
feel so deeply human and connected and inspired.
Yes.
And, yeah, it's look at what these beautiful connections are emerging here. I love it. So that's what I'm most excited about. We did our big trip in the spring. We went to London and Paris. So that was early this year, and I'm all in on just building community here, growing growth fuel,
Mm.
and connecting with other amazing experts like, everyone here. So thank you, each and every one of you, for joining us today. And Sarah, thank you for being such a powerhouse host.
Well,
Love it.
I'm going to take that. That's high praise, because you're the pro. So I love it. I'm grateful that we're gonna keep collaborating. And like everyone, Substack, really truly, I am tempted to go off every other platform. I mean, we link this to YouTube for our podcast, and I really feel like it'd be fun. I don't know if anyone wants to, Melanie, maybe this is something we discuss, but this is sort of a PS, download that's coming in. But it would be very interesting to, like, for anyone that felt bold enough to want to do it with us, like to say, I'm going to go a year and I'm just going to be here
Mm,
and see what happens in our lives, our relationships, our businesses, because this is the only social media place I like hanging. I answer every comment myself. When you guys message me, it's not a team, on Instagram and stuff. I'm like, I don't even want to look at that. And this is real people. 100% human, everyone. That's what we're doing here. So,
That's
Melanie,
right.
thank you. Keep enjoying
Thank
Substack. We'll have
you.
you back again, and we'll
Thank
see you
you.
all next time.
Bye, everybody.